So it's rare that I interview or talk to anybody that's actually taller than I am in real life. Well, and there you go. Much bigger. You talked about a fan's perspective, not the ESPN perspective. And I'm with TerpTalk. It's a local radio show in Baltimore, D.C. that just does Terps. It's more of a group of fans. It really isn't journalism. So when you talk about not having to be agnostic about your fandom, I think we fit into that. And I'll tell you that moving the Big Ten for me, even though it could be the right move, hurts. And doesn't, your feelings at times over. You mentioned, if you can use that line again.
About the funeral?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I said on my radio show that I can't have a funeral for something that died in 2004. And the ACC, as we know it, when it broke into the Atlantic and the Coastal, and they add a bunch of different teams, all in the name of football. You stop playing round robins. That's not the ACC I grew up with. Now, the new ACC says, hey, Maryland, your rival's Pittsburgh. Awesome. We have nothing in common with them, nor they with us. That's our new rival. So what we remember wasn't going to be the future anyway. Okay? The future was getting ready to change.
So why does it still hurt so much? I agree with everything you said. I was excited that we moved to the Big Ten.
Because change sucks. We're not wired well to change stuff. They say the most stressful things in life are if you change your job or if you move or if someone dies. All those things. What are the three roots of that? Change.
They've all happened to me.
Me
you
too.
Talked about your father. Yeah. I did the same thing when I went to Midnight Madness. I called my mother and said, "Oh, if he was still alive, he would have loved that I talked to Lefty Griselle and Gary Williams in one night."
That's awesome.
It was great.
That's awesome. So it's hard to change. You and I, and folks out there, we have real memories that we are emotionally tied to. And the idea that ends is hard. I hate it. But it was going to change regardless. And so the fact that Maryland was able to find the solid ground that the Big Ten offered, stability, financial security, it's one of those things that might be like when you take a shot. Not a shot at the bar, but when you get a shot, and you think, this hurts, man. It hurts, but it's going to prevent you from getting the flu. This is better than a shot, and it's going to make Maryland stronger in the long term. And the byproduct is you're going to have to figure out new teams to root against and rivalries that matter.
Michigan State would be my pick because of the NCAA history.
We don't speak of that. Ever. God, that was so awful. I fell on the ground. It's a true story.
I had kids crying on the floor.
Fell on the ground. I standing in my living room.
We're not talking.
It's too late now. Now the cat's out of the bag, and I just screamed, no. And then I cussed, and then I fell on the ground. And now we move on. Next topic.
The next topic is almost as sad. The moment I'm going to cry, I want to get in there the day that they take the ACC off the floor.
Right.
At Comcast. Because sooner or later, someone's going to be out there with paint.
Yeah, put the big on there. It's going to look, all of it's going to be real. All of it. Every bit of it.
Exciting.
That's what I'm choosing to focus on. I'm choosing to be optimistic about what's good about it. And there's things about it that will be.
So I told you it'd be 30 seconds. It's probably over 2 minutes. The last one.
Okay.
So I didn't know Delaney played basketball for Carolina, which certainly doesn't make me like him anymore, I'll tell you that.
Right.
And the other one is I didn't know Nate Silver, who writes for the Times.
Now ESPN.
ESPN said that we have, what was the quote they used?
I don't know. Something wrong.
The fewest number of fans for a state university?
I don't know.
We got to fix this. Somehow we got to fix this.
Well, look, this isn't a new problem. It's not new. We're the one major college that's equidistant to two passionate NFL fan bases. We sit between the Baltimore Ravens and the Washington Redskins. No one else deals with that. No one. We also have a fickle fan base. We got students that don't stay at games that I called out on my show, and I think people listen. Some maybe got mad, but tell me I'm wrong.
They heard it.
I think they did.
And what they're going to do with it,
that's up to them.
I don't understand how you can come here. I wanted to be here.
Right.
I wanted to go to the games.
Right. It's a different. Everything's different about our lives. We didn't have cell phones that we desperately needed to be on, Instagramming pictures of our lives. But the net of
not having the right fan base for the area.
I think, look, if you win, all changes. If you beat Syracuse on Saturday, you get to a bowl. If you get back to the tournament this year in basketball, you go into the Big Ten, you go, last year, we made the tournament, we won a bowl. Maryland desperately needs just a wee bit of good fortune. And I'd say after what happened to the quarterbacks last year, the injuries this year, with Seth hurting his foot, at some point, something good has to happen, just by accident. And when it does, you seize on that and you take the momentum. But the fan base issue, I grew up here. I went to games when Claiborne was the coach. They never filled Birch Stadium. Never, ever, ever, ever. Except when they played Penn State, and that was half Penn State fans. And one time they played Alabama.
But that's what's going to happen again. We're going to go to the game, and you hope the whatever Big Ten you play wears red, so you can't really see the difference.
Maybe, but you know how you
that's
fight.
Okay. We need the money.
Well, that's true, but you know how you fight that? You win enough games, and enough people from here go, hey, you know what we're not doing? We're not selling tickets to friggin' Penn State, Wisconsin.
Yeah, that's such a high bar to stay consistent. But you're scared. You know, you're one mustache away from being Dr. Phil right now.
I'm trying to make sense, man. I'm trying to make sense.
Well, thanks for being on TerpTalk. Of course, everybody watches you and looks for you on the Turpentines. Ellicott won, I believe.
Yep, that's. I don't. Now with Twitter, anything I want to say, I kind of say there. Can I say one thing to the message boarders?
They do watch.
It's so toxic. It's so hateful. It's so stupid. You're like the trolls. Like I don't understand you. I always say the same thing. Try harder at life. Go do something besides being mean-spirited and talking crap behind a name. Like, what are you doing?
Well, everybody knows who they are.
Well, I'm Ellicott One. That's my name when I'm on there. You can say anything you want to me, and people have done that in the past too.
Yeah.
I don't understand the mentality, but that's, I'm glad I'm being here. Have fun being miserable at life.
And on those happy notes, we'll move on.
Go Terps!
Go Terps! Thanks again.
Thanks, man.
So, for those who don't know, this is George Solomon, who's a legendary sports editor for the Washington Post that took care of all those crazy guys like Kornheiser and Wilbon and had to edit their material. What in the world was that like?
That was a very unusual situation, but they were great journalists, and Kornheiser, to edit, all you had to do was, just listen to him occasionally whine. But he was a great columnist who didn't require much editing and had great ideas. And if they were all like Kornheiser, I wouldn't be teaching in my golden years.
Well, tell me about the teaching part. What do you take it that's here at Maryland?
Yeah, I teach. This is my 11th year of teaching sports journalism and sports and society at the University of Maryland. And it's very rewarding. I love teaching. I love the students. I think that our students are terrific. And, it's something I really enjoy and appreciate, and hope the students appreciate what I try to do.
Speaking of sports and society, I came to tonight's Povich Symposium. I didn't really know what to expect, and it veered from sports to the university's role in society on the Macmillan comments and what a university could be in 20 years, and then it went back to sports. It seems like everything gets politicized these days, and it got close, but what's your take on what the role of a conference and university 20 years from now?
A university's primary job is to educate its students and to be a valuable addition to any community in which it resides, and to increase the level of academic achievement, and to increase the level of study, and also to entertain and to make the student experience on a campus worthwhile. And I think athletics does that. And I think athletics is a very, very important part of a university. As is journalism, music, arts, sciences, and everything else.
So Macmillan's comments seem to be right in line with that.
He's got it right. I mean, you have to educate students. You have to make sure students are getting an experience that will serve them well in later life.
So I drove to Wake Forest, which is a long trip from College Park, to watch Maryland play Wake. It's one of the longer drives you'd make. And that, other than going to Rutgers or Penn State, there's no place else in the Big Ten that's even 6 hours away by car. What effect do you think that has on fandom and the need? Fans seem to go to more games now than they've ever gone to in history, but moving so far away, it has a bit of a negative taste in my mouth already.
But I think, if you have a good team and they're going to Ohio State, you'll find a way to get there.
Ohio State's within the pale. I don't know about Minnesota.
But if you play Michigan and you have a good team and you want to be in the big house and you have an opportunity to get a ticket, you'll find a cheap airfare, or you'll take a train. And I mean, they're great. There are possibilities to get places nowadays, and I think this is this will be a new experience. But if the team is competitive, people will travel.
Well, I'm one of those silly people who'll go anyhow.
Well, of course, I rest my case.
And I think it's about time for everybody to rest their case tonight. Thanks for being on Terp Talk.
Always a pleasure.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
We've got to be concerned with student-athlete well-being, the fans' well-being. These fans are going to have to travel thousands of miles. All that, the jury's out on all those issues, and then you got to figure out what's the future of football, period. Who knows? Our college campuses may be very, very different 20 years from now. So, the only way you're really going to judge this is looking back 20 years from now and saying, was this the right decision? And I think you'll have a better opportunity to do that with hindsight. So,
awesome. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time.
Doesn't matter. It ends up on the internet. It's all fine. This is Wayne. We're still here at the Shirley Povich Center for Journalism Symposium. We have the famous Terp, Bonnie Bernstein. Last time you saw her on Terp Talk, she was on the court at Cole Fieldhouse going over the history of Cole. So how was your first trip to the Povich Symposium?
It was awesome. This event has such a wonderful reputation, not just in the Maryland community, but in the journalism industry. And being able to talk about something as personal to me as the move to the Big Ten, it was great. And obviously the panelists were incredible, so it was nice to be among them.
Yeah, from the back in press row, it seemed like it veered into a political discussion of education in the future versus money today. What was your take on if you want to, on the political aspect of what McMillan said about pretty much selling your soul for sports?
Well, I think you have to take every aspect of the situation into account. If the athletic department were not in the dire financial straits, would we have made that decision? I wasn't part of making the decision, so it's not fair of me to speculate. But the bottom line is the financial situation is what it is. But when you take into account all that this move to the Big Ten entails, from the financial benefits to the strength of the conference to the incredible academic opportunities it provides for an institution that prides itself in the amount of research that comes out of College Park. It's not that there's a choice. You can't turn back now. So I think it's incumbent upon all of us to find out how to embrace it and make the best of the opportunity.
Well, I'd certainly agree that it's done, and we have to move on, and sooner or later the words ACC come off the floor in Comcast, and they'll be cut out of the turf.
Well, they may come off the floor, but the memories will never go away. And the interesting thing is, for older generations who grew up embracing the ACC for everything incredible that comes along with being a charter member of the conference, those memories don't die when they take ACC off the court at Comcast. So we keep those with us and we create new memories. And for the younger generations of Terp fans who freshmen will be coming in, they won't know what it's like to be a part of the ACC unless they grew up in this area or really familiar. All they'll know is the Big Ten. And the kind of cool thing is they will experience the birth of new rivalries.
True.
I obviously wasn't around when the Maryland-Duke rivalry was born in the 50s. I lived it.
Sure. But it was a lot more intense when you went here and when we went here. I mean, the first big rivalry games were South Carolina, and then they left, and we lived.
Right.
And then
I think
Georgia
a lot of people
Tech
don't even know that South Carolina used to be.
And then Georgia Tech showed up and was horrible, and they became our big rivals when they had Price at guard and Kenny Anderson showed up.
And it's all cyclical. It really is.
Right. So it might be Michigan State. It could be Rutgers. It could
it
be
makes
Indiana
sense it's Ohio State because everybody in the Big Ten seems to hate Ohio
them.
State.
Right. Well,
So
we're
maybe
not
they'll
going to
be our
like
new
them.
Duke. I don't know.
Yeah. Is it good to have a Duke? Is it good to have, in the sense that Duke
think
keeps
it's
saying
great.
that it's not?
I
How
love
are we
it.
ever going to find anybody that admits that they hate us as much as we hate them?
Honestly, I don't think Duke hated us as much as we hated them
See,
because they
and
dominated the
so
rivalries.
what good's that relationship? I mean, I've always hated Penn State. Sometimes I don't think Penn State knows we exist.
I
I
think
hate
you're
Penn State
very
more
right
than
about
Duke.
that. I can't even argue that because I probably feel the same way.
So, all right, well, thanks for talking. I'm sure. Are you gonna be back more? Because we didn't see you for a long time. You show up at Cole. You show up here.
I'm back at least 4 or 5 times a year. I'm on the board. I'm on 2 boards at the journalism school, and I host TerpVision, which is the quarterly show we do that showcases a lot of great things that go around campus and what some of our alum are doing. So I'm here more than you think. You may just not see me.
Okay, we just have to look for you more often.
There you go.
Thanks for being on TerpTalk.
Thank you.